football.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The World Series continues on ESPN Radio. The Astros escape Philadelphia, winning 2 of 3.
Jeremy Pena home run, and the Astros go on top 2-1.
Now the series returns to Houston, where the Phillies face a must-win Game 6. Will they survive?
Kansas City's home for the World Series. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Ready to change your life? Get a smile you'll love to the moon and back. Expert orthodontist Dr. Moon and his friendly team use the latest technology to make your journey fast, precise, and affordable. They invite patients of all ages to experience warm orthodontic care in a family-friendly atmosphere, serving all ages in Olathe and Overland Park while offering the latest technology in orthodontic care. It's Moon Orthodontics. Revolutionize your smile with a free consultation. Visit moonortho.com.
You're listening to the most powerful sports station in the country. Sports Radio 810, WHB Kansas City, the power of sports.
America's largest all-sports radio station presents the #1 motorsports show for 2 decades, Track Talk, brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Here are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Good morning. Welcome, race fans, to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Scott Traylor. He's Kirk Elliott. We're the Racing Boys. Got Blake back at Sports Radio 810 WHB, spinning the dials. Got Austin and Todd Surprise helping us here at Racing Boys HQ. Welcome to the show. We got a lot going on today. We've got a lot of sound that we're going to play today. Zane Smith, Blake Hahn, Steve Post, Matt Ward. And we're not sure if we're going to get Lee Spencer on. She's out in the West, so we'll have to play that by ear. And hopefully she'll be up a little bit later. How you doing, Kirk?
I'm doing great. Yeah, late night out there at Phoenix. Lee was out there working at the track, so hopefully we can get her on.
That was a pretty good truck race last night, wasn't it?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when those guys were going 4 wide down there.
Yeah.
Had all 4 of those playoff contenders battling for the win there. You can't get much better than that.
Yeah. Zane Smith won earlier this year at Kansas Speedway, right?
He did. He won there in the spring.
Yeah. So, pretty good racer. And, man, the race at the end of that race was so good, wasn't it, Kirk? I mean, 3 or 4 trucks battling for the lead. It was pretty good stuff.
Yeah, we had a yellow flag come out there, and Ben Rhodes, they just took on 2 tires. He was going for his second straight championship, and the other guys took on 4. And, it was Zane Smith battling with Chandler Smith and Ty Majeski, and they were able to get their way up through there. The 4 tire, I was wondering there for a little bit if the 4 tires were actually going to work, but they did. That was the right play to make. And it turned out big for that 38 truck.
Yep, no doubt about it. It was good racing all the way through. And we're used to it, though, aren't we? We're used to seeing good racing out there at Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of complaints that the new Cup car hasn't worked very well on that racetrack. But these other classes, I think we're going to see a good Xfinity race today. And the truck race last night works well at Phoenix. The Cup car, I don't know. We'll see how that works out in race conditions. I didn't think it was a very good race in the spring, so we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Well, and part of it is, again, these drivers don't want to get hurt in these cars, and they're not going to do anything extraordinary. They're not going to push the limit as far as they normally would with these cars because they don't want to back into the wall and get hurt, right?
Unless you're one of the 4 guys racing for the championship and you're going to do whatever it takes.
Well, then
at that moment.
Then there's that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see how it all works out. They had a practice session yesterday, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. You want to hear from Zane Smith, the champion of the Camping World Truck Series? Next year it's going to be the Craftsman Truck Series again. Here he is.
Isn't that crazy? Craftsman truck.
Back to Craftsman, title sponsor. Yeah. But it is right now the Camping World Truck Series champion, Zane Smith, after his thrilling win last night.
Yeah, I know. I think I was underneath Chandler at that time, and we were adoring each other, and we were nose to nose, and both of us obviously weren't going to lift. And I mean, I have said it in a few other interviews, but I just want to give a shout out to the other three. We had every opportunity to wreck each other, and we battled hard, hit each other, but didn't wreck each other. And we were fighting for a championship. So a lot of respect goes out to them. And I don't know if it was an exciting finish, but I about had a heart attack at the line.
It was an exciting finish,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no
especially
doubt about it.
from your driver's seat.
Yeah.
So, no, it was. You can't ask for anything more than seeing the top four guys racing for the championship, battling it out there at the end. That's what it's all about.
Trucks typically put on the best race of the weekend.
I
don't
think
they?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last year it was Ben Rhodes. You remember he went into the media center. He was drunk. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that. He was drunk.
His post-race press conference was, shall we say, off the charts.
He was a little buzzed.
Yeah. And I thought for a second he was going to go back-to-back last night, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder what this press conference is going to look like. But Zane Smith had other ideas.
So why not be buzzed? He just won the championship,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
It was cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, cool.
So, but anyway, good show last night.
So let's move on to the Oval Nationals last night. Robert Ballou ended up picking up the win last night. What'd you think of that race, Kirk? Did you watch it?
I did. Interesting race, indeed. And I thought that...
Did you think Kevin Thomas Jr. was going to win?
I thought Kevin Thomas Jr. was going to run away with it. He had as about a big a lead as Brady Bacon did the night before.
I know it.
And getting down to the end of the race, Robert Ballou chased him down and passed him.
Yeah.
And emerged victorious is the term I would use last night. I think he even surprised himself because when that car got up into the fence down there and had that long delay, they interviewed him there. He didn't think he had a car that could win at that time. Of course, who did with Kevin Thomas Jr. the way he was running, but he surprised himself. Picked up a big win last night.
Hey, Austin, let me ask you a question. Did you see how they were removing that car off of the fence last night with that bulldozer? Did you see that?
No, I'm glad I didn't watch that.
Let me tell you, you would have been absolutely livid the way they got that car off of the racetrack.
If that was your car.
Did you see how they were doing that, Kirk, with a bucket, with a bulldozer? They put a chain on the top of the car, and then they just kind of put the back end of the car in the bucket, and then they lifted it up. I would have been ballistic if that would have been my car.
I saw the photo, and I thought, I didn't understand what I was seeing. That's what I saw the photo on Twitter.
Yeah, the car didn't look all that damaged up into the fence. It just got hooked up in there, but they definitely did more damage to it getting it off the fence.
Guarantee it they did. There's no doubt about it. They did more damage getting that car off of there. So do we want to play the Robert Ballou interview? Let's do that real quick. And this is Robert Ballou's interview after the race last night at the Oval Nationals.
37 for a guy that told me under the red flag that he thought he only had a car for second place. Makes a late move on Kevin Thomas Jr. to pick up the win on night number 2. Here he is, race fans, the madman, Robert Ballou, your winner on night number 2. Robert, like I said, you and I talked. You didn't think you had a car to win the race. What changed there towards the end of the race, and what allowed you to get close to Kevin Thomas Jr. to make a move?
You know, it happens to all the best of us. Obviously, him and Dutch had that thing rolling really good. He just, when you're out front, you don't know where to go, especially on a long green. And, I just saw him sliding out, and Leary had got under me one lap, and then I said, I was too tight to run down there then. I tried to get my shocks a little bit better to where I could hold it down around the bottom and not get tight, and it was really tough. Then obviously Brady shot by me, and I'm like, the 69, the Nacho Man ain't getting by me tonight. So sat up in the seat. We got some sponsors here. That's what keeps these teams running up and down the road. Pacific Grass and Turf, they came from Northern California. Suburban Subaru, Pete, him and his girlfriend, it's her first dirt track race. She's a IndyCar lady. So, happy that we could produce for our sponsors. Back home, Amy Gardner Roofing. If anybody needs some roofing or siding in Indiana, give her a call. Derek By for busting his butt. Tom Harris back in England. We got 8 hours phone difference, and he's trying to sleep, and he's trying to get me help get this program going. He's probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met, and probably without him, we'd be struggling. Todd Reedy came out, Berks Western Telecom from Pennsylvania. Between him and Derek, they grind it out. Kevin here's helped us last week. It was just me and Derek, and it's a grind. Two guys can't, or one guy and me can't do it by ourselves. We've tried. We're both starting to get old, I think, and we just got to get this thing. So Kevin helped out last week and this week, and my girlfriend, she gets to listen to all the bad nights and all the bad things that happen, and that all adds up. You having strong people in your corner, definitely helps.
Obviously, you're from Rockland, California, which is up north. This is basically your home race with the National Sprint Car Series. I know you'd love to get another Oval Nationals win just like you did in 2014, but how cool is it for you to win so close to home, because we normally don't come to the region of the country where you're from?
Yeah, obviously, I'll be a left coaster forever. This place is one of the most awesome places. When they can get 2 lanes of racing, it's unbelievable. Obviously, they had some tractor issues early in the week, but the coach didn't give up, which most people would. And Don Kazarian, obviously, keeps this place, pretty top notch. And hopefully tomorrow they can get 2 lanes of racing. Some nights, when it comes to night 3 or 4 with practice, it gets pretty tricky and rubbered up. And hopefully they can put on a good show. Hopefully you fans got your money's worth, and you go knock on your neighbor's door and bring a fan or a friend or someone that's new, or we need to get this place packed so maybe we can get this thing back to 30,000 like it needs to be.
Robert Ballou, your winner on night number 2 of the Oval Nationals. We'll send it down to Chris Holt with second place.
That Robert Ballou, interviewed by Drake York of Flow Racing, and thanks to Flow for that soundbite.
Yep, no doubt about it. But I thought Kevin Thomas Jr. was going to win that race for sure. He was so dominant early in that race. Austin, did you watch any of the Oval Nationals last night?
Yeah, I caught the highlight package of it.
Yeah. So what did you think about that race?
About what we saw the first night. Nothing too special.
It was a different track though than Thursday night.
It flopped from the top dominant to bottom dominant, and still we saw good racing and and parts of the pack and parts of the race, but
it was a little faster last night.
Yeah, it was a little more juiced up, and but still, I mean, you saw Brady run the top there for a couple laps, and then when cars got their rhythm back up and their speed, the top just wasn't the place to be, and Blue was spot on with trying to get it 2-laned, or it's gonna be an average Oval Nationals, and this place usually puts on really good racing when it's done right. So hopefully they can take what they learned on the first night and the second night, because we had 2 completely different tracks, and make up one and get this to where it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brady kept trying to make the top work,
and for a while it looked like he was going to make it work.
And it did look like it was going to work there for a bit, but it was just too far around.
Yeah.
Right. Isn't that what you saw, Austin? It was just a little bit too far around.
Yeah, because when he went up there, he drove himself to the back. So,
right.
I mean, if it had any speed up there, then he would have maintained and passed cars. So, what's that tell you? That tells you it was too far around, and there wasn't enough either cushion to lean on or enough speed in the track to make a run. And the bottom was maybe the top still had speed, but the bottom was so good at that point. It never blew off. It got,
right.
They ran down there and made it dirty in the middle and moved it to the middle and cleaned that off, went back to the bottom and made the middle dirty again and went back to the bottom. And it was just so good in there. Nobody could leave it.
Yeah. Bacon got up as high as 3rd at one time, and then would he end up 5th?
He ended up 5th, yeah. But, when Kevin Thomas Jr. gets out in the lead, he's a 3-time winner of this event. You kind of think it's over at that point, don't you?
He said he had brakes go out, didn't
he? He did. He said with about 8 or 10 laps to go, his brakes went out. So that probably didn't help matters too much. But It looked like to me Robert Ballou at the start of that race, his car didn't look like it was really working that well. It looked like it was a little too free to me, like it had a little too much fuel in it. Did you see that, Austin? Did you think that it wasn't working as well at the start of the race as it was?
Hardly anybody's cars want to work on the first lap of a 30-lapper. It's just, with those things you need to have about 25 to 30 gallons of fuel in it, and they don't like it when it's that heavy. The cars like it about heat race fuel load, and that's anywhere from 10 to 13 gallons, and you're going to spend a third of that race trying to burn your fuel load off, and once that happens, you're hoping that your stuff is decent enough where you don't lose where you started if you started up to the front, and you maintained your spot until your car came in, and it's just that's kind of what we saw with pretty much everybody's car, right? Unless you're like Emerson Axsom, where stuff was really good early on, then it kind of faded, or you get at the clean air and you're just doing your own thing, and it's even though it's not wing racing and air isn't an issue. I mean, it's still a free track is better than sitting behind cars.
Yeah, one other guy that made a late run is Jake Swanson. He finished up really strong there at the end. He was just too far behind.
Yeah, Jake Swanson ended up running third. C.J. Leary was fourth. Brady Bacon was fifth. Emerson Axsom was sixth last night. A little setback on Justin Grant's performance. He had to come out of the B main. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's of course. How far ahead is he in the championship race right now? He's got 2,481 points to Brady's 2,415. So that would be it tightened up a little bit last night. So they're within, 60 points?
Yeah.
One night to go. I think Justin Grant, barring a catastrophic night, is still going to salt this thing away.
Yeah. Also last night, Kirk, down at the World Finals, Donnie Schatz picks up his 13th victory at Charlotte. What'd you think about that race?
Boy, he was strong last night, wasn't he?
Very strong, yeah.
I mean, he kicked him. Got a good starting spot. It paid to start up on the front row, didn't it?
It always pays to start on the front row at the World Finals. It's starting up towards the front. And you see a few guys that work their way up through the field, like Giovanni Scelzi. He started 11th. He ended up running 6th. Tyler Courtney, he started 14th. He ended up running 5th. And Corey Eliason started 8th and ran 2nd. So that's pretty.
Eliason had a great run last night.
He did have a really good run last night. Yeah. Austin, what'd you think of that race last night? Donnie Schatz, he proven once again why he wins down there. That was his 59th start down there, his 13th victory at Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good race between, him and Sweet. It's just the track was a lot different than what we saw on the first night where, it paid off in qualifying to go out, pretty early on. You look at, I saw the highlight deal for, who went quick time, and that was Spencer Baston, and him and Garrett Williamson were like first and maybe third in their group, and they were the first two cars out on the track. And, Gravel, who's always really strong in qualifying, went out there, I think, next to last and made a big run, up there, maybe top 5 or so. But still, I mean, it was a lot different than the first night, and it was really dependent on qualifying and get yourself on the front row of a heat race where it was going to be locked down and get yourself into the dash. And, all those guys, that were up there, did that. And it put on a better race, than the first night. But, thank God it, from my knowledge as of now, it didn't, abuse tires like it did. And, hopefully we can see a race similar to this tonight, and just hope that, Gravel can get his act together and stop, watching his championship slip away from its control.
He's 36 points up right now.
Yeah, Brad Sweet with a third-place finish. Gravel finished 10th. So, 36 separates the two with one night to go.
Gravel started behind the 8 ball because I think he started 15th last night, didn't
he? Yeah, 15th. And Brad started outside front row. Again,
right.
You starting up front matters a lot.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Of course, that's the way it is in all kinds of racing.
So, while I was trying to to talk there, I was doing a little research, and you mentioned starting up front.
Yeah.
Now, we had this conversation about, your favorite sport to dish it to, Formula One, and I'm just going to read. We'll say the last 10 races for the start of the winter for the World of Outlaws.
Yeah.
First, fourth, first, third, second, first, second, third, 10th, first.
Right. But what you're trying to compare that to Formula One?
Well, you like
what's the average pass for the lead in Formula One? Have you looked that up
yet? You say it's 1.18, but I mean, if we're all starting on the pole of the sprint car races, how's that any different?
Well, because there's passing for the lead in sprint car racing.
I mean, I didn't see who started on the pole last night, Donnie?
Donnie started on the pole last night.
Well, Donnie won, so nobody passed.
Yeah, well.
You don't.
The racing is better in sprint car racing than it is in Formula One, just so you know.
You'd at least admit that, wouldn't you, Austin?
Well, yes, there is, but I'm trying to show facts here on.
You can't tell me that sprint car racing is less exciting than Formula One.
That's
racing.
Not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's any less exciting or it's any more. I'm just trying to show, that even in the sport that we love and we cannot get enough of talking about, we still start on the front row, the first 2 rows, and win races. Nobody's driving from the back.
Listen, all I know is sprint car racing is more popular in America than Formula One.
I don't know about that.
Oh, you're going on a limb there.
I'm just telling you right now. Listen, I guarantee it, sprint car, late model racing is more popular than Formula One in America.
To the grassroots race fans, but to the general public, I'm not sure about that.
General public doesn't really care about Formula One.
General public watches Netflix.
So what's that got to do with anything?
What's booming on Netflix in America right now? The F1 show.
I'm not sold. I don't watch it.
Yeah,
and
you don't do a lot of normal things.
And you don't know anybody more hardcore and watching video of races than me. I guarantee it. Nobody watches more races on television than I do. And I don't watch Formula One because I don't find it exciting. That's all.
Well, I'm sort of with you, Scott, in terms of what excites me more in racing. Yeah, it's dirt tracks, sprint car racing,
right? Yeah.
Late models. But hey, I'm old school.
Right.
What do I know? I still watch F1, some F1 races, but what trips my trigger more? It is dirt track racing. But as far as the general public in the United States, Formula One is huge right now. It's big.
Well,
that's fact.
It might be, but when their tickets are $3,500 to sit on the front straightaway in Texas, I'm not going to that race.
You're not going.
$3,500.
Nobody asked you to spend $3,500. Go spend your $35 and go sit in a sprint car race grandstands.
I go spend $35 and sit in the sprint car grandstands.
Well, what mystifies me more than anything as far as F1 racing is concerned is there are no American drivers on that circuit.
Oh, and then there's that.
But there's an American team, but they're towards the back.
Yeah.
The Haas racing team, they run towards the back of the field, but yet no American racers, but yet it's so popular in the United States right now. It really is.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more of Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll be right back here on Sports Radio 810 WHB in a moment. Stay tuned.
Track Talk. As your power steering pump ages, seal leaks may occur, causing the power steering system to lose fluid. Your power steering system may also develop an annoying squeal, and the steering may become more difficult to handle. By using Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak, you will stop the seal leaks, reduce slack in rack and pinion, eliminate the squeals and hard spots in your power steering system. It is guaranteed to stop seal leaks or your money back. Lucas Power Steering Stop Leak. It works.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day. and still pull out the big stick. The type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera. And the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Nothing makes cheering on your favorite team better than wings. Pair your at-home game day with Twin Peaks Wings. Find your favorite store at twinpeaksrestaurant.com/locations.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for Window Nation. Get ready to have a blast of winter. Yeah, the next brutal blast of wicked, wild, and windy weather is on its way. And the only thing going down is the temperature. Costs are up, inflation is up, and projections say your winter heating bills will reach a 10-year high. But you can cut your energy bills by up to 30%, increase your home's value, and get amazing savings. Call Window Nation today. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free with no interest payments until 2025. With Window Nation's precision installation, your new windows will lock out the cold and keep your energy bills lower. And with 0% interest until 2025, you'll have plenty of extra cash for your holiday spending. Make your home truly warm, comfortable, and inviting. Call Window Nation today at 866-90NATION or go online to windownation.com. Get 2 windows free for every 2 you buy. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com. Discover why over 250,000 homeowners say Window Nation is the perfect fit.
Stop by the Butcher Block at your neighborhood hen house this weekend for great specials on USDA Choice Certified Hereford beef. KC strip steaks, 10 ounces, only $6 each, or choose your own size for $9.49 a pound. 93% lean ground beef, ground fresh several times each day, $3.99 a pound. And don't forget, it's roast season. Get fresh arm roast for just $3.99 a pound. And if you love seafood, get fresh Atlantic salmon portions, 6 ounces, just $6 each. You can see all these specials and more at henhouse.com. Hen House, your market since 1923.
The Whole Person connects people with disabilities to the resources they need to live independently and enjoy the many opportunities this great city provides. We're focused on creating a fully accessible community where opportunities and choices are not limited by disability. The Whole Person delivers programs and services that enhance the confidence of people with disabilities by providing the skills needed to live, learn, and work in the Kansas City Metro. The Whole Person serves both Missouri and Kansas. Learn more by visiting thewholeperson.org.
The World Series continues on ESPN Radio. The Astros escape Philadelphia, winning 2 of 3.
Jeremy Pena home run, and the Astros go on top 2-1.
Now the series returns to Houston where the Phillies face a must-win Game 6. Will they survive?
Coming back, boys.
Kansas City's home for the World Series. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back to Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB and RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. You can always watch our show if you like. You can watch it on our Facebook page, Twitter page, YouTube page, racingboys.com as well. Share and like the stream if you'd like to. Yeah, Kirk. You raised your hand.
I just wanted to wrap up that World of Outlaw race last night down at Charlotte, that grinding crash that Anthony Macri was involved in.
Oh, man.
Got into it
That
down
was
there
scary,
with the
wasn't it?
55 car. Cole Macedo driving that. I think it looked like he made contact, but, man, I'm glad to see him walk away.
That was a pretty scary wreck.
Especially after he got hit by, who was that, Cale Thomas?
He was laying on his side and got hit.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. That was a scary wreck. And it wiped out Macri's car, though.
Yeah.
It was done.
But good to see him walk away from that, because that's always a pretty scary thing when you're sitting there and you get hit by another race car.
Right. Let's play the post-race interview from Donnie Schatz after his victory last night down at the World Finals, night number 2 with the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. This is the post-race interview. Again, this is brought to you by our good friends over at Dirt Vision. Let's play that interview now.
These guys, they've been kicked, and they keep finding ways to pull out of it. So, the other night was done and over with. Well, it's going to be just like tonight. We had a great car all night. It didn't hurt drawing that one, but just a solid race car. We just creep up on things, but it's so easy to get on the other side of it. Pretty cool. We got a lot of our partners with us here tonight. We got a lot of future partners with us here tonight. So it's pretty neat to get to victory lane, try to salvage a decent points night. You know, you always put it in the back of your mind, though, racing. You know, we're not in the championship race, but, you know, Brad and David are, and so trying to make sure I, you know, didn't do anything silly racing with Brad. And so, you know, you don't want to be the one that affects that. So hats off to my guys, everybody at Ford, CarQuest, Sage Fruit. We got Jason and Tiff from Absolute Automation here this weekend. So, man, what a night. Just can't say enough. Yeah, we could go all over. You know, it's the tires change so much, and the cars change so much when the tires wear out. And we used tires here the other night. I looked at it again here. It's used up pretty good. And, man, it just, you have to, what you used to want to feel, you can't get that anymore. And, you know, there's a lot of other little factors that change along with that, with our program. So, you know, we do our best with it. It's been hard to get a good grasp on being consistent, but we got to win. Hopefully we can work on that and come back tomorrow night and be able to race and be competitive again.
You got to win. This is your 13th win at this place. It's almost like your personal ATM at this point.
I don't know if I'd say that. How many races have there been here, Chase?
You've been here, I think, 59 times. 59 times, 13 wins, pretty good.
If it was my personal ATM, it'd be 60 wins and 59 races. That'd be a great number. But we've been pretty blessed here. It's been a great place. I've always liked it. It's changed a lot, but we've fortunately changed with it. So I'm not much superstitious. I'm happy with that lucky 13 number.
There he is, a 10-time World of Outlaw champion, Donnie Schatz. And that was Chase Rodman, by the way, that interviewed him. Thanks to Dirt Vision for that.
Yep. Chase does a good job, man. He's really good at what he does. But Brad Sweet did what he needed to do last night, just finish ahead of David Gravel last night, and that's what he did. So, Austin, do you feel like Gravel's got a chance still to win tonight?
Oh, there's always a chance.
Brad has some
It's just
going
to be, what is it, 36-point difference now? That's what I saw this morning.
36, yep.
I think it's 2 points a spot, so you're going to be...
Brad's going to have some problems.
He's almost forced to win, and Brad finished like 20th or worse.
Right. He's pretty much got it wrapped up, don't you think?
Yeah, unless he has some kind of a catastrophic issue like he had at Williams Grove here a couple of weeks ago, then anything can happen at that point. But I don't see that happening. That was really only one bad night the whole year that Sweet had as far as a DNF, was that race at Williams Grove when that rear end went out. It's hard to imagine that some big issue would happen again, but, it's not impossible, but highly unlikely that Sweet is going to lose this championship.
Let me ask you this: what kind of champion is Brad Sweet? Is he is the kind of guy that when you look at him, he represents the World of Outlaws in the right capacity, doesn't he?
Oh, I think so. And he's this would be his fourth straight championship. If he pulls this off tonight, he's represented the Outlaws very well for Casey Kane Racing, and he's been a good champion.
Yeah. I liked what Donnie Schatz said, that he didn't want to get in the middle of trying to do anything stupid around Brad Sweet and cause a problem in the championship run for Brad Sweet.
Well, because he's been on the other side of that.
He's been there. He's done that.
He's seen it from the other side, that I'm sure through his 10 championships that there's been a situation where somebody's tried to race him or do something to affect the outcome of his championships down through the years. So I think he's just speaking from experience that, hey, I've been on that side, and I don't want to be the guy to affect a championship run.
Yeah. Did you watch the Big Block Modifieds last night, Kurt?
I did. That was a pretty entertaining race.
Pretty darn sporty race right there, wasn't it?
Yeah, surprise winner, Mathieu Desjardins from Quebec, Canada. Spoke a little French in victory circle after it was over with, too.
Oui, oui.
Yeah, first ever win. He got a little help from his teammate, an identical-looking car that kind of held up Tim Fuller there at the end. I thought maybe Fuller might have a chance at him. I don't think anybody did anything wrong. I think it was a lap car, and it was in the right place, the right time to hold up Fuller a little bit to help Desjardins walk away with that.
Kirk, you want to set up this Blake Hahn interview?
Yes, Blake Hahn, who is the newly crowned champion, now 2 in a row for the Lucas Oil ASCS Sprint Car Dirt Series. He competed last weekend, didn't win at the Creek County Speedway. That was Jason Martin that picked up the win, but came home with a third-place finish and celebrated his second straight championship. He was on with Scott Traylor on Mostly Motorsports just a few days ago on Tuesday, and here is a portion of that conversation with Blake Hahn.
What does it feel like to be back-to-back champion, Blake? That's got to be a surreal feeling, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'll be honest with you. You know, I've dreamed of being able to race and be able to hopefully win a championship for so long. It's like I built up what I've expected in my head over these years, and it's like once we got it last year, and it was like a day or two after it happened, I was like, this is not really what I expected it to feel like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of the same way this year. I mean, I'm really proud and I'm really glad we were able to pick up the championship, and I feel like we had a really good car these last 2 years, but you know, in my head I built up what it's supposed to be like, and it's not all exactly what it is, but you know, anybody that's raced for points or against anybody for a series, it's competitive and it's tolling, and you know, it's hard to do. It doesn't matter for what series or what it is. It's definitely hard to get a win and get some championships. So to be able to get two back-to-backs, amazing. And, you know, with the history of ASCS, with the good caliber drivers that have won championships, I'm just proud to have my name on the list of those guys.
Blake, does racing for points take the fun out of racing a little bit?
I think it does. You know, when I started, it's like that's all I wanted to do, of course, but you know, when you're contending for wins, and I'm sure some people might feel this way, and I'm sure others don't, but you know, it does. It kind of takes a toll on you mentally, and you know, guys that are your friends that you get to race with week in and week out, you start to not talk to them because you're getting so competitive with them, and you know, you're just buckling down, trying to make sure you do the best you can every single night. But you know, sometimes you just got to step back and, you know, remember why you start racing and why you want to keep doing this. And, you know, I'm very blessed to be able to do it with my friends and family, and I enjoy racing. So, you know, every night I get to touch the track, it's a good night.
Yeah. Well, let's start off talking about the Fuzzy Fall Fling. The first night, man, listen, your car looked like it was on rails the first night when you went out and qualified. It seemed that your car was one of the faster cars out there. What'd you feel like after qualifying on Friday night?
We were good. We had really good speed right out of the box. You know, the track was really good, had some good moisture to it. It seemed like it was going to shape up to be a really good night for the track. And, you know, like you said, we had some really good speed in qualifying. We felt like you know, we were good in hot laps. So we felt like we picked up a little bit of speed there for the qualifying, and were able to get quick time in our group. And, you know, just being able to start the weekend like that kind of gave us some momentum. Unfortunately, it rained out that night, but, you know, to be able to go out there and have a good lap time made us feel a little better going into Saturday.
Yeah. On Saturday night, were you a little disappointed that you were starting ninth? Because that's pretty far back. You ended up running third. I know how much you wanted to win the Fuzzy Fall Fling in honor of your grandma, but that was a tough assignment starting ninth, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, on a small track is the best track to be able to get it done on, in my opinion. So I think that's one of the reasons we were able to make up as many spots as we did. Just you know, getting a small track, you get to some lap traffic, it makes a big difference. But you know, we were really good the last half of the A feature. I felt like Saturday. I think that's when we really started picking up our speed and got into a good rhythm there. And you know, just starting that far back with that good of drivers starting towards the front, it does make it hard. So. You know, I think really to start the night out as best as you can and be on the first couple of rows of the A feature with ASCS is the best case scenario. But, you know, we had good speed all night long. Didn't just kind of stumbled there at the beginning of the race, but had good speed towards the end of the A feature and was able to get a podium. So we were glad to finish out the season with a good podium finish, and hopefully we can carry on the momentum next year too.
You know, the track was quite a bit different on Saturday night than it was on Friday night. I know that it was kind of blowing a little dust there in hot laps, and it was kind of sealed over a little bit. But they worked the track over. Did the track come in to your liking a little bit? Was the top a little bit better than it was earlier in the night?
Yeah, they ended up reworking it after we got done qualifying and gave us a little bit of a cushion to lean on, and I think that made a big difference there. You know, that track seems to, once you get on the top, it seems to have the best racing produced. So the track got a little better, but it started taking rubber towards the end of the A feature, and you know, most of the guys moved to the top, but for the most part, the track was pretty good throughout the whole race. And you know, I'm glad they ended up redoing it early on. Like you said, it was blowing dust a little early, so I'm glad they decided to relook it.
Blake Hahn, two-time Lucas Oil ASCS national champion. He's going to be doing some different things next year.
Yeah.
Running 410 a lot more, not running for points.
He is going to run an outlaw schedule next year. He's going to run a lot of 410 races. I'm sure you're going to see him run with the All-Stars, Power Eye, World of Outlaws. You know, I think most people, they want to graduate. You look at some of the people that have went to the All-Stars. Look at Aaron Reitzel. He's a great example. He wins Rookie of the Year and the championship his first year running with the All-Star Circuit of Champions, right? Sam Haferteef. He goes to Bristol, sets the track record at Bristol. So we see the guys that graduate from ASCS go on to do great things in the 410, and I think Blake Hahn's going to do it. The only race that he hasn't made in a 410 was at Knoxville this year. He won the D main, but every 410 race that he's been in prior to that and after that, he's made. And so I think I'm going to go out on a limb a little bit right here and say that I think that Blake Hahn could be a better 410 racer than he is a 360 racer.
Could be.
Yeah.
I think they'll be very successful, whatever they decide to do. They've got, you know, with Tommy and their whole crew,
Dalton.
They know how to win.
Chris Lane,
yep.
They all do a great job there, man. They do a good job.
Probably the most famous example of a Lucas Oil ASCS driver moving up to the next level would have to be the late Jason Johnson.
Right.
The multi-time champion, and look what he did when he jumped into the World Outlaws.
Yep, no doubt about it. The late, great Jason Johnson. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll play a little bit more sound. We've got some sound from Steve Post, the Postman. We'll listen to that when we come back. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll be back with more right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB in a moment. Stay tuned.
Track Talk.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Now you can take on more jobs and grow your business or farm by renting tough Bobcat equipment and attachments. Whether you need to supplement your current fleet to finish a big project, or you're looking for a specific machine or attachment to do precision work, KC Bobcat has you covered. To rent or own, call or visit KC Bobcat in Blue Springs, Olathe, or Tracy. See our selection at kcbobcat.com.
Icon is seeking healthy non-smoking men and women ages 18 to 55 to participate in a clinical research study at our facility in Lenexa, Kansas. Volunteers must be available for one stay of 4 nights and 5 outpatient visits. Qualified participants may receive compensation up to $5,400 for time and travel. Call Icon today at 913-210-5900. That's 913-210-5900.
Besame Wellness, a Missouri-based fully licensed cannabis dispensary built with community in mind. Check them out online at any of their 5 locations in the metro. They provide award-winning customer service and an unbeatable online experience. You can order online with delivery or express pickup. They even offer payment at your doorstep. That's right, you can order from the comfort of your home and have it delivered to your front door. Order online by going to BesameWellness.com or on their newly launched app available on your favorite app store. That's BesameWellness.com or call 816-775-2920. Besame Wellness, easy and convenient.
Hey, Soren Petro here. When you need brilliant, sparkling diamonds, go see my friend Gary Joslin and his family at Joslin's Jewelry. For 40 years, Gary has stood behind everything in his store, from thousands of small jewelry repairs to that once-in-a-lifetime engagement ring. Joslin wants to be your jeweler for life. That's why Joslin's is the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family. See him at 95th and Antioch, online at joslinsjewelry.com.
Joslin's Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. Now, it looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. After a car wreck, the last thing you want to do is trust the insurance company. These insurance companies try to rip off good people every single day. My law firm won't let you get ripped off. We'll fight to get you all the money you deserve, and you don't pay us a dime unless we win your case. If you've been hurt, call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know, 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
All right, listen up. Right now, FanDuel is live in Kansas. That's right, America's #1 sports book. You can get your bets down right now. And FanDuel, if you use the promo code PETRO, P-E-T-R-O, you can take advantage, new customers, of the no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's right, free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. It's called a no-sweat first bet, and you can get up to $1,000 back if you use the promo code PETRO. Listen, I love playing FanDuel, love watching the Chiefs game, having some props on Patrick Mahomes, over on the touchdowns, over on the rushing yards for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Maybe you want to parlay games, tease them, whatever you want. FanDuel is America's #1 sports betting app. So download it on your phone today and use the promo code PETRO for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code PETRO for your no-sweat first bet. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the National Football League.
21 plus and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Proud to say we've been here for 22 years, Kirk. You believe that?
Time flies.
Time flies when we're having fun.
And we're having fun.
We've had fun all these years. All right. Steve Post was on the show with us this week as well.
Steve Post was, this weekend he's right in the middle of it down in Phoenix on pit road for Motor Racing Network. And last weekend he was right down in the infield at Martinsville Speedway. A lot of excitement there with Ross Chastain pulling off the big move that he made, and Christopher Bell pulling another one out of the hat to make it into the Final Four. And Steve is a regular guest on Mostly Motorsports. You can hear him every Wednesday, and they talk about what happened at Martinsville last weekend on this week's show. And here's a portion of that conversation with the postman, Steve Post.
So we got to talk about it. We burnt the entire show on Monday talking about Ross Chastain and his last lap at Martinsville. Steve, you've been around this game a long time. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
I'm trying to think when I've seen anything close to that.
Right.
You know, I mean, I think you can go Carl Edwards, and I know. It was a failed effort, by the way, at Kansas.
Right.
And Kyle Larson was a failed effort at Darlington last year when he stuck it in the fence. But to have the move and to have it succeed like that, I don't. Scott, I mean, being up there at Martinsville Speedway, I've never been in the presence of 50 or 60,000 people in stunned disbelief. You know, I mean, I've never done that. Well, I had never been there until Sunday.
Right.
And you're just like, what in the wide world of sports happened? And then you watch the replay the first time and you think, well, the guy running the video screen has sped it up, you know? And then you watch it the second time and you notice those cars poking around the inside. And it's like, well, no, it didn't. And it took like 3 takes, and you could even feel that in the grandstand, or up in the stands there, or up inside the track, up in the infield on pit road. And I was out on the front stretch when they were playing it back with Christopher Bell. And I was with Christopher when he got his first glimpse at it, and he stopped the interview with me and just talked about how mind-boggling it was. And watched it a second time and was just like, that's unreal. That's it's just one of those moments you have in time. I think it was Jeff Gluck with The Athletic. I think it was him that said this. You know, everywhere on the planet Bobby Ellison goes, he's asked about the fight in turn number 3 at Daytona.
Right.
Everywhere Ross Chastain goes for the rest of his life, he's going to be asked about that move. Mm-hmm. That's how spectacular a move it is. I mean, that's just. So to your question, have I ever seen anything like it? No, I don't know the closest thing I have seen to it. It was unreal. This to me, Scott, race car drivers, I've said this so many times on so many different platforms. Race car drivers are wired differently than humans. Okay, just the things you do. And Ross Chastain is wired another tier different than most race car drivers. I mean, it's insane what he did there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Are you a little set back on a lot of drivers? And to be honest with you, Kyle Larson was the one that was the most vocal about it. He kind of threw dirt on Ross Chastain a little bit there. Were you surprised by his comments after the race of Kyle Larson?
Yeah, I was. The one that surprised me the most was Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he's the one that did it at Darlington last year.
Right.
You know, I mean, Denny Hamlin's leading the race, and Kyle just stuck it on the fence and let her ride, and Denny was up and blocked him, so, you know, Kyle ran in the back of him. I was a little shocked at that, and I still don't. I don't know what to make of it. Because here's my take on this thing going forward, and everyone is like, we've got to legislate that out, or we don't have to legislate out, and everything in between. Scott, I think first and foremost, there are, and I might be generous here. I'm probably being very generous here. There might be 10% of the drivers in the Cup garage that would even, and 10% of racers in America. I'm not going to make this a Cup thing.
Right.
10% of racers who would even do that move. Okay. I just think that I don't think that most race car drivers are ever going to attempt that move. And then of that 10%, I think there's another 90% of those guys that hang it up in the fence, get into the wall too hard, don't get in the wall hard enough. And so the reality of it is I tend to believe that it will be tried again in some form, semblance, or order. I believe it will be tried again, and I believe 99 times out of 100 it will fail as well,
right.
And it will kind of legislate itself out. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I just tend to believe that it will take care of itself, because there's such a small percentage of drivers who are even going to attempt that move, and the ones that do are not going to ease it into that wall quite the way that Ross Chastain did, and get the good bounces along the way.
Right.
I mean, that car's bouncing off the wall, and if it bounces at a different time with that crossover gauge, you know, the next thing you know, he's hung up there. And so I think some will try. I think a small proportion might try it in that situation. I think you've got to be in that situation too. And I just tend to believe that I tend to believe it sort of takes care of itself. But to your original question, there were some that didn't shock me. On the other side of the thing, Kevin Harvick raved about the move, and he says, and should NASCAR decide to outlaw it, that's a bigger feather in Ross Chastain's cap, but he didn't believe they should. So if you're asking me, that move happens, where does Kevin Harvick and Kyle Larson fall on it? I'm totally inverted on what I feel the two of them drivers think about it. Those are the two that surprised me. Kyle's the one that surprised me that didn't like the move, and Kevin's the one that surprised me that did like the move.
Right. Do you think NASCAR will do something about this and penalize drivers that try to do this in the future? Do you think that'll happen?
I don't think that they will do anything about it. My question is that when a car gets into the fence like that, does the caution come out?
True.
You know, I don't think they'll legislate against it. But when a car goes in the wall that hard, do they bring the caution out, nullifying the move?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, I mean, and there's some of this that's going to police itself in the garage area too. You know, you don't want to be that guy that comes off the wall in this bowling for competitors. You know, I mean, but I don't think NASCAR. I don't know that NASCAR does anything about this. This is a tough one. You know, this is a tough one because you are getting ready to legislate out the single biggest move in the last 5, 10, 15, 20-year history of NASCAR.
2 minutes, boys.
And the move that you are going to use in every highlight film for the rest of your existence. That's a tough thing for me to legislate out.
Well, there you have it. That's Steve Post's thoughts about the move. What'd you think about that move, Kurt?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, that was awesome.
Should they outlaw that
NASCAR.
move?
No, I agree with everything Postman said there.
Right.
I think it'll legislate itself. I agree with him. 9 times out of 10, drivers that try that are going to fail.
Yeah, Todd.
I called Kirk. I texted Kirk immediately after that and said that was probably the greatest television for TV event for racing in the last 5-6 years, just because
probably 25 years.
Yeah, I mean, I was giving it, I was trying not to go back and try to figure out, but what I was between what Ross Chastain did and then the battle, the way that the way that they show how the playoff, the tickers going and everything, it was really good.
Yeah. All right. We appreciate you tuning in. We want to say, give a shout out to Kelly, who's listening from Central Point, Oregon. We also want to give a little bit of a shout out to our friend 7K Racing. They're listening from Minnesota. And we've also want to say hi to Tammy, who's listening in from Pennsylvania as well. So people all over the country listening this morning.
30.
So we're going to do it. Hour number 2 coming up right around the corner. You can watch it on our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and RacingBoys.com. For Blake, for Austin O'Neill, for Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor
15.
saying that we hope that you'll join us. Hour number 2 right around the corner. It's all been brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. We'll see you then.
Are you sick and tired of living with that constant pain in your knees and back? You know,
Good show,
joint pain
fellas.
doesn't just
Appreciate
keep
it, brother.
doing what
Thanks,
you love.
Blake.
It affects your job,
Have
your
a
relationships.
good weekend.
Even simple
Yeah,
things
you guys
like
have a great
getting
weekend.
dressed.
Go Chiefs.
This is
Go
Stephen
Chiefs.
St. John.
Yes,
it's
sir.
time to call QC Kinetics. QC
At Lucas Oil, we take pride in creating problem-solving products to make your car care easier. We protect your vehicle and make it run longer so you can focus on the things that matter most. Whether it's commuting to work, visiting a loved one, taking the kids where they need to go, going to the big game, or anywhere life takes you, Lucas Oil is committed to getting you there for all of life's important moments. Lucas Oil, it works.
Go harder, faster, stronger with Rod End Supply. Whether you are running industrial, farming equipment, or a race car, Rod End Supply has the assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performance. Our superior design means our rod ends last longer and perform better, giving you the edge on the track and saving you money. Contact Rod End Supply or order online today at rodendsupply.com. We don't just sell them, we race them. rodendsupply.com. Serving the racing community for over 30 years.
Spirit Specialty Sportswear in-house. We do all of the screen printing, all the embroidery. We do some vinyl. The other ad specialty items like your pens, magnets, notepads, calendars. You can actually buy that, build your business to make it larger. We have the largest screen printing process and the largest embroidery anywhere around in the area. We can do stuff all the way from your school clubs to sports teams, a professional look in the office. If you can imagine it, we can do it for you.
One of the main reasons for poor vehicle performance is a dirty fuel system. It can cause decreased fuel economy and actually do harm to your engine over time. By adding Lucas Fuel Treatment to your vehicle, it cleans and lubricates the entire fuel system, pump, carburetors, fuel injectors, and valves as you drive. It also improves your vehicle's performance. It's a non-solvent product designed to protect both gasoline and diesel engines. Lucas Fuel Treatment. It works. There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.
Missouri's must play getaway. Osage National Golf Resort.
3 9-hole courses to choose from at the Lake of the Ozarks in the Osage River Valley. Stay and play packages in our first-class condos. A beautiful clubhouse complete with pro shop and exercise facilities. A large pool for relaxation and families. The Eagle View Sports Bar and Grill. Great wedding facilities. Go online and make your tee time today.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is open 7 days a week, year-round, for you to come in and check out all of the wonderful race cars on display in the museum. And our online store at sprintcarstuff.com is open 24 hours a day for you to check out everything that we have in stock for sprint car fans. Whether it's for a birthday, anniversary, or Christmas, sprintcarstuff.com has it all. That's at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Next to your vehicle's engine, your transmission is the most important component of your car. If it's not properly maintained, your car may not shift properly. By adding Lucas Transmission Fix to your transmission, it cleans and lubricates sticking valves for proper shifting, renews worn bands to stop slipping, stops seal leaks, will not void new car warranties, contains no harmful solvents. Lucas Transmission Fix. It works.
Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and if you're not listening to the Racing Boys, then you've got some sort of head problems. You gotta listen to the Racing Boys. Get her done!
Welcome to Hour 2 of Track Talk on the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. Made in America, sold to the world. Here again are the Racing Boys, Scott Traylor and Kirk Elliott.
Welcome back. It's Track Talk here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. I'm Scott. He's Kirk. We're the Racing Boys. Austin O'Neill, Todd Surprise, helping us out here in the studio. So, I didn't mention in the first hour, Kirk, about Ted Bacon passing away.
Great patriarch of the Bacon family.
The first generation of 3 generations in the Bacon family. Ran super modifieds back in the 60s and 70s. Was just one hell of a nice guy, to be honest with you. I got a chance to know Ted over the years, when with Brady traveling with us with the Lucas Oil ASCS National Sprint Car Tour. I know Ciciana, Brady, Kelly, Leon, I know they're all devastated by the loss of Ted. He was such a good man. And, it's kind of sad to hear about the passing of him. So it sounded like he hadn't been doing well for a little bit. So anyway, Ted Bacon, we're thinking of you. And it's kind of sad to hear that of his passing.
Yeah, it looks like Brady was really inspired the other night. He dominated that race on Thursday night. Of course, all of them had heavy hearts, and he certainly did. Victory Lane.
Well,
that
victory the other night was for Ted.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Absolutely.
And it couldn't be any bigger tonight if he wins tonight.
It would be his first Oval Nationals win if
Yeah.
he pulls that off tonight. If you can believe that. He's won several preliminary rounds out there at Paris Auto Speedway, but not the big show on Saturday night. If he were to do it tonight, that would really be big.
Is he the favorite to win, you think?
He has to be one of the favorites. If he gets, in a good starting spot tonight, that's the big key. But yeah, he's certainly one of the favorites tonight. Kevin Thomas Jr., certainly a favorite to win. Robert Ballou, the way he ran last night.
Right.
But I think you got to get a good starting spot. And I'm not exactly sure how that format works for the final night. I know the better you finish on the, do they have like a point system? I'm not sure.
I'm not exactly sure on that. Oval Nationals points. Brady Bacon leads it right now. He's got 275. He's got a 1-point lead over C.J. Leary and a 4-point lead over Robert Ballou.
So his point standing would bode well for
Right.
him starting up front.
Yeah. Austin, who do you think is the odds-on favorite to win at the Oval Nationals tonight? Who's your pick? Is it Brady?
It's going to be tough to beat Brady right now. He was really fast the first night and had speed, last night, but it just...
Is he motivated a little bit more with the passing of his grandpa? You think?
He just wants... He's a racer and he wants to win, and we go there to sell out and do what it takes to win, and if I don't... Brady is really more conservative on his equipment, but you're laying it all on the line every night. So I think maybe a little bit more motivated, but he still has a job to do, and he still is trying to win this championship. So it's going to take a lot, kind of like it's going to be for Gravel to win the Outlaw deal. Same for him in the USAC championship. But
the track's going to have to be a little bit better than it was last night, though, isn't it? It was a little fast last night, wasn't it?
I don't mind it being fast. It was good. It's just the bottom was too good, and the top.
It was hard to get around people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to let it all hang out. He's kind of like these NASCAR guys.
Right.
You got to go win. To chase down.
You're
Justin
not going to see
Grant.
Brady Bacon grind a wall all the way around the racetrack, try to get a win.
But he feels that he's got to win in order to have any chance of getting this championship away from Justin Grant right now, which is still a pretty tall order. But I think he's going for it. Final night of the year. Hey, this is it.
I think it comes down to Kevin Thomas Jr., Robert Ballou, and Brady Bacon. I think it's those three.
I think so.
Yeah. Not to take anything away from C.J. Leary, because he's won this race before.
Yeah, well, he's in the final night of that ride.
Right.
That would be his last race in that 77 car.
Right, no doubt. Justin Grant, you can't ever count him out, though, right?
No. But
Mm-hmm.
he, last night he didn't run nearly as well as I'm sure he'd hoped to. But he's still got a fairly decent-sized lead, kind of similar to what Brady Bacon, or similar to what Brad Sweet has in the World of Outlaws, maybe a little bit more points than that. But, he's got to go out and maintain. Justin Grant is going to be more of a points racer tonight than Brady Bacon. That is for sure.
Right.
Brady Bacon's got to go for all of it. Justin Grant's got to be somewhat careful about preserving a championship. He can't take too many unnecessary chances to throw that championship away. And he's a pretty smart racer, and I think he'll do whatever he's got to do to salt that thing away.
Yeah. Damian Gardner, I was a little set back by him. He started 9th, and he ended up running 11th last night. He's a past winner of this race as well. Not showing the speed that I thought he would show.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was just trying to make the outside work too. A lot of these cars, a lot of these drivers maybe had set things up to work the high side, which was dominant on Thursday night, not so good last night. And maybe Damian Gardner didn't have it set up to run the bottom. I don't know. But he certainly didn't do as well as you'd expect.
Yeah. Emerson Axum, he led a few laps there at the beginning of that race. He led lap 1, and then Kevin Thomas Jr. led laps 2 through 28, and then Robert Ballou got snuck in there at the last second and picked up the last lap victory.
Yeah, it's and Jake Swanson, we talked a little bit about him in the first hour. He was the other guy that really emerged late, and he started 5th in that race and looked like he was going to be mired back there in the back half of the top 10, and he made a late charge there to get himself up to 3rd. I thought maybe he might even have had a faster car than Robert Ballou there at the end of the race, but he was just too far back.
Right. Did we ever hear from Lee?
Haven't yet. I'm waiting on return. She said, sure, sooner the better.
All right.
Hosting press conference. So
Give her a ring.
let's try to get
Give Lee
her
a
on
ring.
the air.
Yeah. All right, we'll get Lee Spencer on here in just a moment. Talk about everything that's going on in NASCAR, and we'll just have to see. She's probably got a pretty good pulse of what drivers are thinking about that move that Ross Chastain made last week. I don't think everybody's happy with it, to be honest with you.
You think some of these drivers are jealous that they saw another driver do that, and they didn't think of doing something like that in the past?
Chase Briscoe is.
Huh?
Chase Briscoe's jealous. He even admitted it.
He did? He said that? What'd he say?
Well, he said, I just should have done that for 7 laps straight while I was leading. And then he goes home and makes a post like on Twitter or I think it was Twitter of him practicing the move on the sim, just as a joke. But yeah, I mean, it was if you watched and listened to some of the in-car reactions after or when it took place, the mood was way different than we saw in the media. In the media, you have to put your a face on and and kind of call it down either the middle or just I guess just be smart about what you're saying. But you listen to some of the in-car spotter and crew chief and driver talk, and they're hooping and hollering and just amazed by what they saw.
Right.
You think Kyle Larson is just upset that he wasn't able to pull that off at Darlington a couple of years ago and Ross Chastain did? You think there's a little bit of that?
I mean, very, very.
Larson was real critical.
I thought he'd love it. I was very surprised the way Larson reacted.
Yeah, I was too. He even said he was embarrassed with himself for making that move, but it's nothing that is in between the lines of the rule book or breaking the rule book. So it's yeah, I don't know what Larson's problem is right now, but he's definitely had an attitude change throughout this year.
Is Larson, dare I say this, is Larson getting a little big-headed? Do you think, Austin?
I don't know. I think he's, I think his expectations are high in himself for backing up a championship and performing well, better than what he is right now. So I think that's reasonable for him. But I don't know. There's just I don't know what to pin it to. But Kyle Larson isn't the same Kyle Larson that we saw last year. Attitude, performance. and just overall.
You think he's a little down on himself because he really is kind of underperformed a little bit this year? Would you agree with me on that?
Not just in the Cup car, in all of his stuff.
In everything,
Yeah.
right? Would you agree that he's underperformed a little bit this year, Austin?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he couldn't make it through the round of 8 or 12. He couldn't make it to the round of 8. So, yeah, I mean, that's unacceptable for him.
I mean, just think of it.
For a past champion.
I mean, if he didn't make that mistake at the Roval at Charlotte, he'd be sitting here, as one of the top 4 guys. He won that race at Miami here a couple of weeks ago. He'd be right in the mix of it. He made a big mistake.
Yeah.
By not, being careful at the closing. He had the spot locked up, and he just, to get up into the wall, that's just not
And tear
something
up
you'd
his
expect
car.
him to do.
Yeah.
Not to change it off of Larson here, but Todd has the highlights playing from last week, and I think a lot of people aren't talking about this because it's been overshadowed by what Ross did on the last lap to get into the transfer. But did anybody else catch the cat and mouse game he was playing with Denny Hamlin with like 8 to go, or on that last restart he was racing with Denny, and had shots to the inside of Denny and was side by side with him, but coming off he was clear of Denny, but he knew what would happen if Denny got to his rear bumper, and Denny needed those points at that time to make it to the transfer, and they came off at 1 lap, and you could visibly see Ross kind of check up and try and stay even with Denny, so when they got to turn 3 there wasn't a chance for him to get down behind him and send him into 3.
You have all the history that Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain have had with one another. Denny Hamlin thought it was a great move.
Yeah. Hey, Tammy, she brings up a good question. Do you think Young Money is feeling pressure? Is he still pretty humble, in my opinion? What do you think? Is he still pretty humble? And do you think he's feeling the pressure?
I don't know what to make of that. I think he's still the same guy. Kyle Larson's a fairly humble guy. I just think he's been hard on himself. He just made too many mistakes, and he's admitted it. He's been pretty honest about that.
Right. All right, let's bring in Lee Spencer real quick. She's out in the West. Lee, do you think that Young Money, his comments, were you a little set back by his comments about Ross Chastain a little bit?
I am, but I also think he's a purist, so I'm not completely, blown away, but I'm kind of surprised that he at least didn't give Ross style points, right? And so he said he's got nothing against Ross. He just doesn't think that that's the way you should win a race. It should come down to battling not like a video game, but in the traditional sense of racers battling racers. But in the heat of the moment, and at the end of the day, Ross Chastain is going to the championship 4, and Kyle Larson isn't. I mean, I don't think it's sour grapes at all. I just think that that's where his head's at. I mean, Jeff Gordon had the same reaction when I asked about it after Martinsville. So I'm not, I wouldn't say that I am completely surprised by Kyle's reaction.
Yeah, Tammy brings up a good question. Do you think Young Money is feeling the pressure right now? Because really he hadn't had a stellar year this year, right? Not in Cup, not in sprint car racing. It wasn't anything like it was last year. Do you think he's feeling the pressure a little bit?
But he could win today. I mean, it would not surprise me if he wins today. It would not surprise me if anybody on Sunday. It would not surprise me if anybody outside the championship 4 won tomorrow, given how many times this car has surprised us and the people driving it have surprised us this year. It could be one last, big surprise in the inaugural year of the next-gen car. And as much as we've seen from that car this year, it just all the different things that it's delivered, on the track, from performance to a lack of safety, even though safety was at the, forefront of what they were trying to do with this car, I would not be surprised, if anybody. I mean, Kyle Busch was third on the speed chart yesterday, right?
Right.
But I really think that as much as Ross Chastain loves his own mother, that he would drive over her if it meant winning the championship.
You've got your pulse on what the drivers are feeling about this move that he made last week. What is the consensus? What is the overall consensus of the driver's opinion of the move that Ross Chastain made last week?
I thought that they really dug it, I mean, it's the younger ones especially. And, you read what they said on Twitter. So if you weren't listening or to the audio or you didn't see the comments after the race, what they said on Twitter, I think they were very, they were very complimentary, just the fact that he had the balls to try it. And so that in itself, he got a lot of props for that, right? And the fact that he pulled it off. I don't think the competitors or NASCAR wants to see it every week, but in the heat of the moment, Ross Chastain pulled off a move that ultimately put that team. He was a 20th place car last year. That's where he finished in the standings.
Right.
They went from 20th to top 4 in 12 months. And if nothing else, you have to give them major props for that. And last night, I took after I was done with my work, I took a stroll through the Cup garage, and long after dark, after most everyone had gone from there except for the people working on the actual race cars, Justin Marks was still in the garage with his team, just taking it all in. And he is so invested in what's going on and what's happening. And I think his enthusiasm among the younger drivers has really attracted guys that might have just said, hey, I'm going to retire and go do something else, like Jimmy Johnson, to come back and go all in. And he and Jimmy are very what she's seeing, what other young guys are seeing, makes them really back into the sport.
Lee, how big does this become now? How big does this become if Ross Chastain ends up winning the championship? That'll take that move up to a new level, will it not?
Well, it absolutely will, because he did what it takes to get there. Nobody will say that he's any lesser of a champion than Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch. I mean, any of the guys that came before him. I mean, think about it for a second. The guy that was, Ross was a thorn in the side of Denny Hamlin all year long. Denny's out, Ross is in. Denny complimented the move. Kevin Harvick, another one who had been one of Ross's biggest critics, complimented the move. It's just, it goes on. And I think that, if he wins on Sunday, not only is it huge for Trackhouse Racing, it's huge for the sport. The average age of the 3 juggernaut race teams, their owners, Joe Gibbs, Roger Penske, and Rick Hendrick, their average age is 79.7. And when you look at it from the standpoint of I think Justin Marks is 42, Jimmy Johnson's 44. These guys are the next generation of ownership, and it would not surprise me if you saw somebody like Kevin Harvick partnering up with Justin Marks in the future, because he sees what he's doing. He appreciates his marketing prowess. So I think that, we're moving in a direction where we need that young blood, that young energy, something that, kind of stuck out to me that we heard last night after Zane Smith won the truck championship was he had been at GMS the last 2 years, and the team just felt old to him. And they're old-timer racers, right? But he goes over to front row, and there's new energy and guys, and it just really energized their whole effort. He went in there without, a chance. Was the only team that called him after finishing second in the Truck Series 2 years in a row. Why? Because everybody wants money now. They don't give a damn about talent. They just want they want a paycheck. And Front Row was willing to take a shot on Zane Smith, and it paid off, and it paid off big time. So, it's similar to Justin Marks. Justin Marks took a shot on Ross Chastain, and if Ross Chastain leaves with the championship on Sunday, I don't think any of us, sitting here will be surprised.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about Jimmie Johnson joins Petty GMS as a new co-owner and part-time driver. How much of Petty GMS does Jimmie Johnson own? Do we know?
It's been rumored to be 20%, but he wouldn't talk terms. This came together really quick. I talked to Maury Gallagher. I'll be happy to send you guys the audio if you want to play it on Mostly Motorsports this week.
Yep.
Just about how this deal came together. But, I mean, it was September, right? When you talk about adding a partner and end of September and it came to fruition, just weeks later, I think that's pretty impressive. That's why we, don't have a number yet. B, haven't changed the name yet, although I anticipate that. And the other thing Maury told me is, well, actually two very important things. They're not going to go for a charter. I mean, back in the day, there was a Champions Provisional. I want to talk to NASCAR this weekend and find out if there's any shot that comes back into the fall. I don't know if the charter system, the way it's set up now, precludes that, but he won't be getting a charter. And with Jimmy's relationship with Rick Hendrick, I absolutely expect this to become a Hendrick Technical Alliance and not return to RCR next year.
Oh, wow. How about that? Is this mean Jimmy's done with the IndyCar?
No, he's going to run IndyCar. He really wants to do the double. He really wants to do Le Mans. He's talked about off-road trucking. The one thing that he won't do, and when I get set up, I'll send you this audio, and Todd can pull the clip. He thought that Alex Bowman's insane for getting into a sprint car, and he'll never do that again. We'll never expect. I mean, I would, never say never, but I would never expect to see Jimmy at Chili Bowl.
Right.
I mean, I think that whole deal was mind-blowing to him. So you have a 7-time NASCAR champion getting in a sprint car, and he was like, no, not going to do this again.
Right. We probably need to bring up Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is kind of talking out both sides of his mouth right now, isn't he?
Well, I mean, he's like that evangelical minister that, send your money now. And, I mean, it rings so hollow. Dale Jr. was spot on where he said that the guy needs to find his truth and speak his truth and not go off of talking points all the time. And, he needs to become more genuine. We were kind of, oh my gosh, laughing about that yesterday because Toyota wasn't happy with the fact that Ben Rhodes, went with he was kind of like doing the roving reporter thing for, I think it was NASCAR.com. And I think he went over to Ty Gibbs and said something along the lines, if you win, will you walk across water? And, I would say that, we joked after that if the guy turns Monster Energy drink into wine, we'll all, stand back in amazement. But that being said, my question to him once, I got in the queue was basically, are you mature enough to drive that number 54 Toyota next year? Because I've been told that's the number it's going to be. And he said that's up to, the management to decide. But, management contemplated parking him this week, and his parents threw such a fit that he's in the car. So we'll see what happens and, how they manage him going forward. Somebody should have blistered his butt at some point along the maturation process, and I don't think we'd be talking about this.
You just said that they thought about parking him, but his parents threw a fit about. Say that again.
Well, sorry, I'm in a really bad zone right here. No, I was told that Joe Gibbs considered parking him this weekend, and his parents, basically said that if that was the case, that they would take him somewhere else. So
wow.
I mean, that's I just think that he's going to have to learn the hard way. He said he has relied on Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch has been down that path. Kyle Busch has been down that path. Usually they get it together, but, talking to his fellow competitors, they really think that the garage is going to, if, Joe Gibbs Racing won't police him, then the garage will take care of it. So, will we see something egregious today on the racetrack, or, will we see self-policing today in the Xfinity Series? I don't know, but I can guarantee you we'll all be watching.
Right. I'm going to be watching what Brandon Jones does today, too. He's now a de facto member of JR Motorsports now, even though he's still driving for Gibbs, right?
That I think was that Josh Berry's comment on? Yeah, I think that's what Josh Berry said, that we have one more bullet in the chamber, so to speak, because he's going to definitely be on their side, and so I think watching it from that perspective. Brandon was more vocal on the radio afterwards, that, when he said, "I can't wait to get the hell out of here." But it just, it kind of sets it up for who else, might this affect going forward. If you're going to be in a position that the grandson is so favored upon, how does that, set up for anyone else that wants to come in there and have a fair shot at racing?
What'd you think of that truck race last night? I thought it was pretty damn good.
Oh, it was incredible, and really, if Ty Majeski doesn't bring out that caution, to take the race in overtime, Ben Rhodes with a 2-tire stop wins, right?
Right.
So,
I agree with that.
So that just. I understand Majeski was trying to get the win for himself, and I was really kind of surprised he went around. He's a really solid short track racer, but it's Zane Smith at the end said he would not be denied, and he wasn't, and so we have a 2022 champion.
Ty Majeski, he just stepped on it a little bit there. He just got in there a little tight, and the good thing about it is he didn't wreck Zane Smith in the process, right?
Well, and they all raced very respectfully, right? Nobody wrecked. And so I think that was probably the win-win for everybody at the end of the day, is that they all went in there, raced each other respectfully, and at the end of the day, the best truck won. And, Chandler Smith even said that. So I think that they all handled it very professionally. I don't fault Majeski for trying that move, but I really think that Zane was so solid all year, and for as young as he is, he's fairly mature. He's been through a lot in a short period of time, and excuse me, I'm not surprised he ended up on top.
But it was good to see Zane Smith, Ben Rhodes, Chandler Smith, and Ty Majeski all racing for the lead at the end of that race. That was pretty good stuff.
Well, Majeski finished 20th, but, that's because he at least had tried to move to get where he needed to go.
Yeah, but he was up there in the middle of it at the end of the race, so that was all good.
He was fixing it up.
Lee, what do you got coming up on Racing Boys?
Probably just a lot of analyzing what's going to happen in the championship. We've got a full plate of stories up there from the last few days and media days, so just looking forward to kind of continuing that.
All right.
Hey, great piece on Heather Line, I believe, the crew chief for Dennis Erb Jr. That is a great story.
Isn't she remarkable?
Yeah, that's a great story.
Yeah,
and I watched them.
She's a remarkable woman.
I watched them they're at US 36 Raceway the other night, and it's just the two of them, folks, her and Dennis Erb Jr., and man, what a successful run that they've had. But I thought that was a great piece.
Yep, good story.
It was great. It was really something else.
Yeah.
I've got to get out of the gate, so let me. We'll chat in a little bit.
All right, we'll talk to you, Lee. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you have it. Lee Spencer joining us here on the show.
Activity's starting early out there in Phoenix.
Yeah.
I figured it was early, and she was already up and running.
Right.
So they are 2 hours behind us, right?
They are.
Yeah, they are.
Until tomorrow, and then they're just 1 hour behind us.
Yeah.
Because they don't recognize daylight time.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah,
They're one of the ones that
we got to fall back tonight.
It's going to be rough too, man. For a good few weeks. That's the hard
because
one.
it gets dark at 5:30.
Yeah, I mean it's already dark now. Wait until
Is it dark out there right now?
Well, not now, but when I rolled in this morning, it was still dark. It was 7 o'clock.
I heard a story the other day that this might be the last time that we switch the clocks. There's a push going on. And I think it even went through the Congress.
It's made it through Congress, and it's waiting to be on to the next one.
Permanent daylight time, right?
Yes.
Not Central Time,
Not
but
Central,
daylight
but
time.
daylight time.
I'm all for that.
Never bothers me.
I am all for that.
I just don't like. I mean, when we do this fallback, this is when the deer. This is when you guys got to be careful when you're heading to work in the morning. It's just because it's deer season, and it's dark. You got a lot of rush hour. You just got to be a little extra careful on the roads out there. It's. But Lee was joining us in her car, and what was happening, guys, was her phone was connected to the speaker to the thing, and that was what was happening. So when I would call, it was not letting her go through. So
I got you.
We were able to get through. That's why we were having that little bit of audio come through. So that ought to be a good race today. That's why I was telling Austin today. I said there's only a few places in the United States where you can race right now.
Yeah, we got Noah. We got
right.
Noah Gragson, Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry, and Justin Allgaier with a chance to win the Xfinity Championship today. Who gets that done? I'm rooting for Allgaier.
Me too. I'd love to see Allgaier.
Sure, I'm with you.
Like you care. I think Gragson is probably the guy that really deserves it. So who wins tomorrow?
How about Noah Gragson throwing Ty Gibbs under the bus? Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that. What did he say?
Did you see that, Austin?
About time somebody said something along those lines.
Noah
has.
Can you find that video? Can you look that up and we'll play that?
He called a spade, did he?
Oh,
about time.
He did. Yeah. He threw Ty Gibbs right under the bus and ran over him.
Well, what about that? What Lee just
Find
said?
that video.
I got it. What about that? With what Lee just said, and reported that Joe Gibbs wanted to park Ty Gibbs, but got a pushback
from the parents.
His parents.
Well, what I told
right
when I saw that interview with Joe Gibbs, and he said, I told Kirk yesterday, I said, did you see what Joe Gibbs said? He said, we're going to have a talk. Me and him are having to talk. And that was when I picked Kirk up at 8 o'clock or 7 in the morning or whatever it was. And by the evening, he told him he was going to park him. And by the time we get the news, Mom and Dad said, no,
we'll take him somewhere else if that happens.
That,
wow.
Man? So, yeah, I've got this interview. It's about 6 minutes, so we'll play some of it. You just tell me when
just play it. Just start it.
I mean, I think everyone who's close to me, they kind of know the situation. But for me personally, I try and take it as a learning experience. I'm not glad of the outcome for the other people, but I'm glad for the outcome for me and going through that experience to learn. So with that being said, I think I have learned. I don't want to say you never say never, but I don't plan on racing that way ever again. It's just heat of the moment and, trying to take it as a learning experience, taking it, hey, I made a mistake. How can I grow? How can I be better and not let something like this happen again? Because obviously I've made a big mistake and, it's
put it on the screen.
It's part of it, but it's just how you rebound from it and how you learn from it. And, yeah.
Do you think competing in a couple up, especially with Hendrick the last couple weeks, to help you kind of go into with this championship with a more mature mindset?
No, not really. I just have been trying to have as much fun as possible, enjoy it. My last year in Xfinity, so we obviously want to win, but I think last year I wasn't really myself. I was so overly trying to be focused and didn't appreciate the opportunity, didn't enjoy it and take a second to look around and think, man, this is like super cool. I was just very, very tunnel vision on the task at hand, and this year just going into it with a completely different approach of, hey, it's going to be what it's going to be. I feel like we're prepared. Don't got to change anything up. We're obviously, I'd say, the top dog coming into this race weekend. We didn't get here by accident. We have won, and we've won a lot, and we've earned our way into the playoffs here, or the Final Four. So it's going to be exciting. It's definitely a privilege to be a part of this group of 3.5 men, and just really excited to race for a championship.
The news broke a little bit early about Jimmie Johnson, and my sources tell me it's a done deal over at GMS. What would it mean to have a guy like Jimmie Johnson be part of the ownership group there? What does he bring to the table?
I think I'm just really excited to work with Eric Jones and Maury Gallagher, Mike Beam, my crew chief Luke's going over there, Dave Ellens is over there, so really excited to work with those guys and really focus on how to build that program up and become a better race car driver, learn the next gen cars. So great teammate with Eric Jones, obviously Dave, we have a past relationship, and I think just all in all, I'm really excited for the opportunity next year.
What could you learn from a 7-time champion like Jimmie Johnson?
I think Richard Petty's a great champion of our sport, and I think he's been around the block. He's been through this sport, a lot. So, with that being said, Richard Petty and the Petty family, that's a huge name to drive for and learn from. So, definitely excited for that.
What would it be like to have 2 7-time champions under the roof at GMS?
Well, I've won 7 NASCAR championships on NASCAR Inside Line for Xbox, and so to have those 2 would be cool.
Obviously, you don't mind taking the jab at Ty, and I know that there's been some disdain between the two of you in the past. How did that change at all last week? Or did it worsen? And how do you anticipate racing him this week in Phoenix?
I just race guys the way they race myself, and I've gotten cleaned out by him a couple times. So I've made that very clear in person, face to face, nose to nose. Kind of behind the scenes where not a lot of people were, and I think he's got the message.
How do you balance kind of whether there's hard feelings there or whatever the relationship between the two of you is, how do you balance that on the racetrack while you're also still trying to focus on the task at hand and just going to win a championship?
I just try and kick their ass every weekend, be the most prepared when I get to the racetrack, the most, prepared. And I've raced Josh Berry, Brandon Jones, guys who super clean, race them really hard but with a lot of respect. And they race me really hard with a lot of respect. And you got other guys like Little Man, and I don't know. I don't really think anybody in the industry has too much respect for him. But we're just focused on winning this championship for our team, and gonna do whatever it takes if you're racing a guy like that.
You guys have 3 cars in this championship 4. What's the move in the shop been this week? I assume there's been a little bit added motivation because of that, and because of what happened last week. So what's the move in the shop been like?
Well, I think it's been business as usual. The 9 team, we were there till 11 o'clock the other night, Monday night, drinking beers, eating pizza, having fun, listening to music. We're laid back, we're relaxed, we're ready to go have fun, and just the result's gonna be what it's gonna be. As long as you show up prepared and you're ready to go, no different than any other race. We've won here in the spring. It's not gonna be easy by any means, but we know how to do it. It's nothing new to us. So that's kind of a mindset that we have. It's one last ride at JRM. It's last race. Let's go enjoy it. This is a privilege to be able to be a part of this. And there's only 4 guys, 3.5 guys who get to be a part of this. So it's really special, and we're looking forward to the opportunity.
This is Harrison.
That's Noah Gregson. You just heard.
I like him.
Little man.
Little
He calls-
man. He called him little man.
Well, I'm not surprised about that.
Yeah.
That was, really a lot tamer than I thought. I thought he was going to add some more to that.
But at
on the
least
first turn.
he's one of the people that is willing to throw the little man under the bus, right, Austin?
Well, for sure. You're kind of playing both sides of this here. I don't know if you remember, but on Monday when we talked about this,
I like Ty Gibbs.
You were a Ty Gibbs fan, so
I like Ty Gibbs.
I'm going to pull something you like to pull on Kirk and I.
All right,
Get
all
off
right.
the fence. Pick which one.
I like Ty Gibbs. Did you hear me? I said I like Ty Gibbs.
Well, you just said you like Noah, and you can't like the enemy and the good guy.
Well, hold on. Noah Gragson hasn't been the biggest angel out there on the racetrack. has
That's
he?
for sure.
Huh?
In the past,
you're
he
right
hasn't,
about that.
Listen, Noah Gragston's rubbed a few people out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, here's a guy talking smack to somebody else when, he might want to look in the mirror himself about a lot of these incidents, that he's not the most respected driver out there on the circuit either.
No, he's not. He's not. He has definitely knocked some people out of the way in his time out there. But he says he's learned from that, right?
But does he deserve to win this championship? I believe he does.
Yeah.
Based on his overall performance of the year, he's won 8 races this year. And I think he would be a deserving champion if Gregson able to pull that off.
If Ty
today.
Gibbs wins this championship, will he get the biggest boo of anybody in NASCAR?
Yeah.
Do you think that?
I
Austin?
think so.
He won't.
But
win
I
it.
don't think he'll win it.
You don't think he will?
I don't think he'll be allowed to.
No, they will.
You think somebody's going to knock him out of the way before they'll let him win it?
If it's not the 19 car, it's going to be one of the other 38 cars in the field. There is not one car there that likes him.
And not to say that Gibbs doesn't deserve to win the championship. He's got 6 wins himself. But he's got a lot of enemies out there on the track today. And I don't think he'll be allowed to get it done. That's what I think. I'd be very surprised.
You believe that somebody else is going to take him out?
Well, they'll make it hard on him. And
Race him
make
too
it-
hard.
Race him too hard, put him out of spots. I'm not saying put him into the wall, but there's enough people on that racetrack today that don't like Ty Gibbs enough that they're going to make it almost impossible for him to pull this off.
Do you believe that to be true there, Austin?
That's what I just said.
Yeah. You think somebody is going to knock him off the track or racing too hard? What do you think? You think somebody will crash him before the end of
I'm
the
not
race?
going to say what's going to happen. All I'm going to say is he's not going to finish the race with a clean race car.
That's a good prediction right there. We can't predict how it's going to happen, but that it's going to happen.
Right.
The 54 is not going to have a good day. That's what I believe.
Well, let me just tell you this. Ty Gibbs is pretty good at knocking people out of the way.
It's going to be really hard to move somebody when you have the 19 car and your quarter panel never lifting as you go into turn 1 on the start, and your pile drove through the fence. It's going to be really hard to move someone.
I don't think Brandon Jones will do that.
He has nothing to lose. He's going to go to run nose car next year when he leaves to go to Petty GMS. He's already signed his contract. And he's already pulling his sponsors from them.
He doesn't want to have that identity as
He'll
a
be
driver.
a hero.
Huh?
He will be known as a hero in and the Xfinity Series.
Was Matt Kenseth known as a hero when he took out Joey Logano at Martinsville?
That was so unlike Matt Kenseth.
No. It's a yes or no question, Kirk.
No, he was not a hero.
The crowd thought
and
different.
he got penalized for it too.
Yeah.
Matt Kenseth was a relatively popular driver before that happened.
Still is.
Yeah, I don't think he hurt his
I think he
reputation.
actually might have bettered his reputation.
I don't think his legacy got damaged all that much from that incident.
Probably not. But I'm just going to say, some drivers just don't want that reputation. I don't think Brandon Jones is one of those kind of guys.
I don't either.
I don't think Brandon Jones is going to be the guy that crashes you.
That's why I don't think he'll crash him.
I don't think he'll
If
crash.
he gets around Ty Gibbs, he's certainly going to make it hard on him.
He's going to race him hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. But I don't think that Brandon Jones is going to crash.
Let's just put it this way. Brandon Jones is not going to be a team player for Joe Gibbs Racing today to help Ty Gibbs win the championship.
No.
That ain't happening.
There's no doubt that's not going to happen. Yeah, for sure. Kirk, we've got one more sound that we need to run.
Matt Ward, one of our favorite people.
Yeah.
He's the guy at the Chili Bowl.
Director of Operations.
Director of Operations. You spent a lot of time with him out on the road with the Lucas Oil ASCS series.
Like
when you were
family
out there
to me.
doing it.
Yeah.
And you had him on your show earlier this week, Mostly Motorsports. Matt Ward talking about the Chili Bowl and some other promotional events like the Pete Frazier Memorial moving to Sweet Springs. Here's a little bit of that conversation that Scott had with Matt Ward from earlier this week on Mostly Motorsports.
Matt, let's talk. Can we talk a little bit about the Chili Bowl as well?
Whatever you want.
What I was just going to ask you. So let's talk about tires now. Can we talk about that just a little bit about the tire program this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me what led to the decision to open up the tire deal.
Well, I mean, it's always been open. American Racer, Hoosier. Hoosier has discontinued the tire that they've made for Chili Bowl, and they're basically going to be mainstreaming the midget tires like they did with the late models, and they're condensing down. And they were afraid that people couldn't have the 84s unless they stockpiled them throughout the last couple of years, and so we they wanted to do it the way that it came out first, and I didn't want to do it that way. And the next day, after my phone not stopped ringing for 5 hours straight, I had enough, and I called Hoosier and I told them, we got to open it up, let these people burn through the tires that they already have. I mean, Keith Coons Motorsports just alone had 172 left rears and right rears that they wouldn't have been able to use. Alex Bowman had close to $10,000 worth of tires that he wouldn't have been able to use for his team. So, I mean, just between those two teams, that's over $50,000 just in two teams where they couldn't use them. And Chili Bowl is the only place that they can run them. And so I told Hoosier we need to allow them to burn through them this year, and then next year, then Hoosier has the SP2, SP3 that they make. So, I mean, let them burn through the tires. So that's where we got the next day, and that's where we're at now. So you can run the same tires you've been running at Chili Bowl at this year's Chili Bowl, the American Racer, Hoosier. So there's no difference.
And you're still going to be checking for tire prep, right?
Yeah. Yep. There'll be tire samples of every race.
Yeah, and the team itself has to bring their own grooving iron up there to take the sample, right? Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, it's stated every driver's meeting that you better have your tire groover in with your work area stuff. That way, once you get to the top of the ramp, you can go ahead and give us a sample. That way they can't say, well, I used someone else's grooving iron. That's why it's popped.
Right, yeah. Matt, let's talk a little bit about outside of tires at Chili Bowl. How are you taking on this job? How do you like your new position of being the director of operations with the Chili Bowl? How's that going for you?
I mean, it's going. I mean, it's basically the same stuff I was doing
before
years ago. Just I go to more of the meetings by myself now. This morning I had a meeting with Expo. My grandpa was going to go, and then last minute yesterday he said, "Oh, you got it. I'm not going." So
right.
It is what it is. Just keep on moving.
You don't feel any pressure by having this job, do you?
No.
No. Because you've been doing it for so long anyway. What difference does it make, right? Hey,
yeah. I mean, I feel like I've been working out there since day one.
Yeah.
I've literally done every job out there except for announce and flag. I've never done those two jobs.
Well, maybe we need to get you down there on the front straightaway and get you to flag one time.
Yeah, I'm all right.
You don't...
I've seen some of the drivers, and some of them might not agree with my calls, so they might aim for me.
Yeah. That was episode number 210.
He didn't want any part of that flagging down there on the track, does he?
Yeah, no.
Let Terry Maddox handle all of that.
Let Terry get run over.
That's old school flagging, too.
Angie went down there and flagged a little bit last year.
Yeah?
Did you see that?
I didn't see that. I missed that.
Yeah.
That is old school flagging down there on the track. That's back the old days of all kinds of racing when the flagman standing right down there next to the racetrack. That's what they've got at the Chili Bowl.
They used to do that at Riverside. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
My old racetrack up in Mount Ayr, Iowa, they had the flag stand on the inside. It was a flag stand, but it was on the inside. I've never known of any other racetrack that was like that.
Yeah, yeah. Riverside, they used to flag from the infield.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the day.
Didn't they used to flag all races down from the infield?
Yeah.
There was a day when they didn't have any flag stands.
That's true. Those were brave flagmen back in those days. Terry's pretty brave, considering how many of those.
There's been a couple of close calls.
There's been some close calls there. Terry probably gave us a couple scenarios that he remembers.
It looks to me a lot safer, though, than that flag stand they had up at the Clay County Fair up there, where that thing was just exposed up there. At least when you're on the ground in the infield, you got a chance to run away from a problem.
Yeah.
If you're on a flag stand that was exposed like up in Spencer, Iowa, you got no place to go.
You're just mincemeat. If you get hit,
yeah,
you're done. Kirk, let's kind of go over our picks. What was that guy's name that won the Big Block Modifieds last night?
Matthew Desjardins. Desjardins? I didn't say that right.
I can't
Matthew Desjardins. Desjardins. Matthew Desjardins. I'll say that.
Desjardins.
First ever win.
Yeah.
Matt Shepard looked like he was going to win his 42nd race, and he had some kind of a mechanical problem because he got around Desjardins for the lead when that yellow flag came out with 11 laps to go, and then slowed on the racetrack and pulled off. I'm not sure what was going on with his car, but
ended up running 28th.
Yeah, but he's still got the championship. He'll celebrate the series championship tonight.
Do you want to take a stab at who you think's going to win tonight?
I'm
going to say Tim Fuller.
I'm going to say Matt Shepard.
Matt Shepard
is going to finish it off with a not only the championship but the finale win.
The 19 of Tim Fuller put some pressure on Matthew last night at the end of that race.
That Desjardins teammate Paul Saint Sarzane, or how I can't even say it. I won't even try to pronounce his name. He was in the right spot at the right time to hold up Tim Fuller. Otherwise, I think he might have had a shot at Desjardins on the last lap.
Right. All right. So let's move over to the World of Outlaws. You want to make a pick on the Big Block Modifieds there, Austin? No.
No, I'll go with the only one that I know of. We'll just go Max McLaughlin.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Let's talk about the World of Outlaws now. And who do we think is going to win here tonight? Any choices?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say that Brad Sweet wraps up the championship tonight. But I don't think he's going to win.
I would agree with that.
I don't think he's going to win the feature tonight.
No.
I think
he showed pretty good speed though the last couple nights he's raced.
He has.
Yeah. Didn't he finish on the podium both nights?
Yeah, he finished.
Wasn't he
yeah,
on
where
the
did he finish on Wednesday night?
Wasn't he on the podium the first night? Austin, was he?
I think he was.
Yes.
Did he finish
Yeah.
second?
All right.
Finished third last night.
So who do you think's going to win?
I'm going to say Donnie Schatz does it again tonight.
Number 14.
Yeah, he looked strong last night. David Gravel's got some work to do.
You know who impressed me last night? Cole Macedo.
The 55
driving the 55 car. Did he not impress you last night a little bit, Austin?
I
started 6th, run 4th. That's pretty good. That's his best finish ever with the World of Outlaws.
I don't want to say I'm not impressed because he's capable of those results more often. He doesn't race with the Outlaws a lot, and he's been in the 18 car, pretty much back in Ohio all year long. And
right.
He's had good runs with the All-Stars when he's ran Bowman stuff, and it was just a matter of time when he was going to have a run like that. So not too surprised, but because he's shown, like I've said, plenty of times this year, going through California to run back on Tarleton's equipment, or
he's capable,
or the 18 car, or the slick shows and Bowman stuff that he's well capable of it.
Mm-hmm. So, who are you picking, Kirk?
Schatz do it again tonight.
Schatz. Who are you picking, Austin?
Corey Eliason.
Corey Eliason.
Driving the 71 car.
Bernie
Stuchin.
I'm going to say he started 4th last night. He ended up running 9th. But I'm never going to count out Carson Macedo to win. What's he got, 11, 12 wins this year?
He has. It's not had as good a luck here in recent weeks as he's had earlier in the season. So I don't know whether his performance level is at that point to where he can. I mean, he's run up towards front. He's just hadn't been able to finish off any races here lately.
Yeah. I'm going to pick Carson Macedo to win. I think he's going to get up there. If he can start up towards the front, I think he's got a good chance of winning. So it's like anybody else, though. If you start up towards the front, you got a better chance to win down there at Charlotte's dirt track. All right. So what about Oval Nationals?
Brady Bacon. That's my pick.
You're picking Brady. Austin?
Jake Swanson.
Jake Swanson.
He finished off that Western World in high style last weekend at Kokopaw, didn't he?
Yeah. I really want to pick Kevin Thomas Jr. to win, but I'm going to pick Robert Ballou to win because I know Robert, if he wins, he'll be on the show next week. So I'll be pulling for Robert Ballou.
Well, you can get Brady Bacon on, too.
Yeah. Oh, Brady, come on.
He never turns you down.
Well, he did yesterday.
He did?
Yeah. I tried to get him on.
Maybe it was too early.
It was a little too early in the morning. Yeah.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah, it was. So I'm going to pick Robert Ballou for the victory. What about in Cup, Kirk? What are you thinking?
I'm going to go out on a limb on this one and say Ross Chastain wins the championship. He gets it done.
Whoa.
And then they're really going to be talking about that move at Martinsville last week if he pulls off the championship. And you know what? They had a practice session yesterday at Phoenix, and
he was
guess
top
who
of the
was
sheet.
the fast car? Ross Chastain, number 1.
Yeah, Blaney was 2nd, Busch was 3rd, Reddick 4th, Harvick 5th.
I mean, you'd have to favor Chase Elliott based on he's done it before. He won there 2 years ago. He's won the most races this year. He's probably the guy that really deserves the championship because of the number of wins that he's had. And you look at the number 22 car, Joey Logano, who they've had 2 weeks now to prepare for this race. They locked in at Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago actually now. And so they've had time to get that car prepared. And Joey Logano's won a championship before. So, but I'm going out on the limb and saying the number 1 car pulls it off. How about that?
What are you thinking, Austin?
Yeah, Kirk took my pick.
Well, that's all right.
You can
take the same pick.
No, I know. I just my 3 coming in this weekend was Ty Majeski, Josh Berry, and Ross Chastain, and Ty had a shot last night and just tried. You know, he gave it his all, and ended up coming up a little short.
Yeah. I think I'm going to pick Kevin Harvick.
He can't win the championship.
No, not the championship.
To win the race?
To win the race.
He's got 9 wins at Phoenix.
He's pretty good there.
There's never been a year where the champion has yet to win the race. So,
well, you got to go back. You got to go back to
pick.
2013, the last time that happened. 2013, the last time.
The year before the great playoff started.
Right. Well, I'm going to be rooting for Ross Chastain to win the championship.
Yeah. I mean that.
I think a lot of people are going to be rooting.
I'm rooting for that to happen.
Yeah,
sure,
no doubt.
He's got a fast enough race car to do it. I'm telling you right now, he finished second to Chase Briscoe in the spring out there. And I don't know if they're running a different tire this time or what's different about this race than the one back in March, but he ran well out there the last time they ran.
Todd, do you want to pick a Cup winner?
I was going to pick Chase. Or Ross Chastain is who was my pick.
I think everybody's picking Ross Chastain.
When we did the interview with him out there, and
he's
Nick
pretty
was
cool
out
dude,
there
isn't
at
he?
Kansas Speedway. We talked a little bit, and then we talked a little bit afterwards about he's a watermelon farmer, and I unloaded a mini watermelon trucks in my day, so I had some questions about some watermelons, and he's a good cat, man. Like I said,
He smashed some watermelons out there.
He
too,
did. So
didn't
he never got to smash one when he'd won before on his previous because they didn't do that. So they brought those out there for us on that when he came in to do that interview with us, and it was pretty good day. We had a whole day out there talking with him, and he's a nice cat, man. Like you said, he seems like a normal. I'll pick him, but I think it'll probably be Elliott will probably win this thing. So I just don't know.
How big would that be for Justin Marks? A relatively new owner in the Cup Series to win the championship.
Crazy.
Maybe
huh?
we're talking about Ross Chastain as a driver, but what about Justin Marks as a team owner? If that were to happen,
I'm kind of like you. I think Chase Elliott is going to slip in there and maybe
Elliott
win it.
just seems like he's been quiet,
and he deserves to win it. Chase Elliott is probably the most deserving driver to win this because he got 5 wins this year.
He won it in the very last race of the season the last time he won it, didn't he?
He just hasn't run all that well in the playoffs. He's won that one race at Talladega, but his performance level in the playoffs doesn't match what he did through the whole season. But if there's a more deserving driver, I mean, there's no more than Chase Elliott with his 5 wins.
Yep, that's who I think will pick. Well, like I said, my heart, hopefully Ross Chastain can pick out and smash some watermelons today.
Right. All right. Well, there you have it.
That's what
folks.
we're all rooting for, right?
Yeah, I think everybody's pulling for Chase. Ross Chastain. I think.
Except if you're the millions of Chase Elliott fans out there.
Right. There's a lot of
There
those.
is a lot of
the
those.
most popular driver in motorsports.
Many years running.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Thanks, folks, for tuning in to Track Talk. It's all brought to you by Lucas Oil Products. It works. Don't forget, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time, it's mostly motorsports with Austin O'Neill and myself. Kirk sits in with us on Mondays and Fridays. And on Mondays, we talk about what happened over the weekend. And on Fridays, we talk about what's going to happen during the weekend. Yeah,
the one driver we didn't talk about, Christopher Bell. Don't forget about him.
Well, if Chris has a chance to win the championship, I'm definitely pulling for him.
He's already had 2 walk-off victories here in the playoffs, so yes, he can do it again.
He can do it for sure. Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Don't forget, Mostly Motorsports, Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Time. We hope that you'll join us during the week. We're on the air 6 days a week, folks. We're going to do 312 episodes this year here on RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. For Austin O'Neill, for Todd Surprise, for Kirk Elliott, I'm Scott Traylor saying thanks for joining us. We'll see you Monday on Mostly Motorsports.
Track Talk.
There is less than 1/100th of an inch of motor oil protecting your car's engine. Friction and heat causes engine oil to experience thermal breakdown, weakening its ability to protect the engine and its parts. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer is specially formulated to resist thermal breakdown, protect vital engine parts, and extend the life of your engine. It also stops smoking, knocking, and oil consumption in worn engines. Lucas Heavy Duty Oil Stabilizer. Keep that engine alive.